Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like something just didn't click? Maybe the exchange felt forced, or the other person seemed distant, like they were there physically but not emotionally. Or perhaps you've noticed that certain people quietly pull away from you, and you can't quite understand why. What if the real issue isn't what you say, but how you say it? Tiny, unconscious habits that slip into your speech, things you barely notice, can quietly shape how people feel about you. In today's video, here on Beyond the Twist, we're diving into 5 hidden conversation habits that can slowly make people lose interest in you. Not because you're doing anything wrong intentionally, but because of subtle patterns that work beneath the surface. These aren't the obvious mistakes like being rude or interrupting. They're far more delicate, the kind of behaviors that feel harmless in the moment but quietly damage connection over time. And stay with me till the end, because the 5th one, the one almost no one talks about, might completely change the way you think about social interactions. Now let's begin. 1. Cutting off someone's story. Let's start with one of the most common traps, interrupting a story before it's finished. Picture this. Someone begins sharing their recent travel experience. Their eyes light up, their energy rises, and just as they're getting into it, you jump in. "Oh, I've been there too. Let me tell you what happened to me." It feels friendly. You think you're bonding. But what actually happens is the opposite. The other person feels unseen, unheard, quietly dismissed. Psychologists call this conversational narcissism, the urge to pull the focus back to ourselves even when the spotlight belongs to someone else. It's subtle, but it cuts deep. Because storytelling isn't just talking, it's revealing a part of who we are. When we interrupt or redirect, we're basically saying, "My story matters more than yours." The solution? Simple, but powerful. Let them finish. Let their story breathe. Ask questions. What was that moment like? How did it feel when that happened? Show real curiosity before adding your own experience. When you do that, you're no longer competing, you're connecting. 2. Offering advice no one asked for. It feels kind, doesn't it? Someone shares a struggle, and your instinct is to fix it. They say they're stressed, and before they finish the sentence, you're already listing solutions. Try meditation, exercise more, just sleep early. You mean well, but here's the twist. Unsolicited advice often feels like a judgment. The hidden message behind it is, "You can't handle this. Let me show you how." And most people don't want that. They're not always looking for a fix. They're looking for someone who feels with them, not someone who fixes them. So before jumping in with suggestions, ask something simple. Do you want me to just listen, or would you like my thoughts? That one sentence shows respect, control, and emotional intelligence. People remember how you made them feel heard far longer than they remember what advice you gave. 3. Exposing contradictions. This one's tricky. It hides under the idea of being honest or observant. You hear someone say, "I'm trying to eat healthy," and later you catch them grabbing pizza. So you laugh and say, "Didn't you say you were cutting down on junk food?" You might think it's playful, but to them, it feels like judgment. That tiny correction threatens their social identity. It makes them feel exposed, inconsistent, maybe even embarrassed. The truth is, people are allowed to be inconsistent. They grow, they change, they slip. That's what being human means. Pointing out contradictions doesn't make you more insightful. It makes you seem unsupportive. Instead, focus on intention. If someone is trying to work out more and they only went once this week, say, "That's awesome." It's a start. Encouragement builds bridges. Correction builds walls. 4. Minimizing effort. This habit is subtle but damaging. It sounds like, "That's easy." Anyone could do that. You got lucky. You might mean it casually, but to the other person, it feels like you've just erased their effort. Maybe they worked hard on something, faced fear, stayed up late, and your comment makes all of that invisible. Over time, that small invalidation adds up. People stop sharing their progress with you. They stop opening up because deep down, they don't feel supported. Validation isn't about exaggerating praise. It's about acknowledgement. Say, "That must have taken a lot of dedication." Or, "I can see the effort you put into that." Those words fuel connection. They tell people that what they do and who they are actually matters. Before we continue, if this video resonates with you, share it with someone who might need it. And if you want to support the work we do here at Beyond the Twist, you can hit the thanks button below. Now, let's move forward. 5. Correcting small mistakes. This one slips under the radar. You're talking to someone, and they say, "Remember when we went out last Tuesday?" You instantly respond, "Actually, that was Wednesday." You're right, technically. But socially, you've just interrupted the rhythm of the conversation and maybe even embarrassed them a little. What you've really said, without meaning to, is, "Being right matters more than staying connected." And that's the problem. Because in most conversations, accuracy isn't what people remember, emotion is. If you constantly correct tiny errors, you start to feel more like a critic than a companion. Sure, there are moments when precision is important, but most of the time, letting small things go shows emotional maturity. It says, "You matter more than the details." When people talk to you, they don't just listen to your words, they feel your energy. Do you make them feel safe, seen, respected? Or do they walk away feeling small? Let's recap. Cutting off stories. Giving advice that wasn't asked for. Pointing out contradictions. Minimizing effort. Correcting small mistakes. These habits don't come from bad intentions. They come from trying to help, connect, or be right. But slowly, they chip away at the foundation of human connection. If you want deeper, more meaningful relationships, shift your focus from proving yourself to understanding others. Ask, listen, validate. Because in the end, people don't remember every word you said. They remember how they felt in your presence. And that's the real art of connection, one that begins not with speaking, but with understanding.